Most women think they know what drives a man wild in bed. They think it's the obvious: touch him here, whisper that there, move like this. But what if I told you that the place where a man actually loses control isn't the one you're thinking of? Here's the truth: 98% of men reach their peak not because of what's being touched, but because of how it feels emotionally. Yes, physically there's one zone that flips a man's switch instantly, but the reason he loses control in that zone has less to do with anatomy and more to do with psychology. Because when a man feels both seen and desired, when he feels that his woman is not just performing, but craving him, his body reacts in ways even he can't control. That's when his breathing changes, his rhythm breaks, his body trembles. That's when he surrenders. So in this video, I want to break down the 5 powerful truths about this sacred zone, the place where a man's physical and emotional worlds collide, where he doesn't just feel pleasure, he loses himself in it. Let's uncover what that secret zone really is, why it makes him lose control, and how you can touch not just his body, but his mind. Because the real secret isn't about where you touch him, it's about how you make him feel when you do. Here's the truth no one really tells you. The real place where a man loses control isn't between his legs, it's between his ears. Because yes, there are spots on his body that make him weak, but the moment you truly own a man's desire, the moment he starts trembling, breathing differently, forgetting where he even is, it isn't just about what's happening physically, it's about what's happening psychologically. See, men are often trained to separate emotion from physical pleasure. They're told sex is mostly about release, not connection. But that's a lie, because when a man really loses control, when he stops performing and starts feeling, it's because something inside his mind gets triggered, something emotional, something primal. And here's the crazy part: that switch gets flipped not when you touch him first, but when you make him feel desired. When he senses that your touch isn't mechanical but meaningful, when your breathing deepens, when your voice changes, when your hands trace him not like you're checking a box, but like you can't get enough of him, that's when everything changes. Because in that moment, his body reacts to your energy, not your technique, not your skill, your energy. A man can tell when a woman is disconnected, when she's just going through motions, even if she's technically doing everything right. But when a woman is present, when she's lost in the moment, when her own desire is raw and visible, his body mirrors that energy. It's biological. His testosterone, dopamine, and oxytocin levels surge. His mind stops analyzing. His defenses drop. And suddenly that zone, that one place that usually just gives him pleasure, becomes the place where he surrenders. Because now it's not just his body being touched, it's his ego being stroked, his masculinity being validated, his confidence being ignited. And this is where most women underestimate their power. You see, men crave admiration just as much as they crave touch. They want to feel like you're not just letting them in, you're inviting them in. They want to feel chosen, not accommodated. When you make a man feel like he's the one who lights you up, like every movement he makes draws something uncontrollable out of you, that's when he loses his grip. That's when he gives in completely. And that's what most people miss when they talk about the secret zone. It's not just skin on skin, it's soul on skin. Let's be clear, yes, physical touch matters. You can't ignore that. But what separates an average moment from an unforgettable one is emotional electricity. It's that invisible thread between you that says, you're mine right now, and I want you, not anyone else. That's what a man remembers. That's what makes him obsessed. That's what makes him come back, even when he swore he wouldn't catch feelings. Because once you touch not just his body, but his mind, you've reached the real secret zone. It's where pleasure becomes connection, where chemistry becomes craving, where attraction turns into addiction. So don't just focus on technique. Don't obsess over doing the right thing. Focus on how you feel, because that's what he'll feel. If you're lost in the moment, if your desire feels authentic, if you're giving energy that says, I'm here, I'm present, I want this, then his body will respond in ways even he can't control. That's not just seduction, that's emotional mastery. And once you understand that, you'll realize the real secret zone isn't something you find on his body. It's something you activate in his mind through presence, energy, and the genuine power of your desire. That's where he truly loses control. If there's one thing that makes a man lose control faster than anything else, it's anticipation. And here's why men are wired to chase, to pursue, to earn what they want. So when you master the art of anticipation, when you don't give him everything right away, you awaken something primal in him that he can't switch off. Anticipation isn't about playing games. It's about building desire. It's that delicious tension that makes every second feel charged, every glance feel heavier, every near touch feel electric. Think about it: when something is given to us instantly, our brains process it as normal. But when we have to wait for it, our dopamine spikes. Our imagination takes over. Suddenly, the idea of it becomes 10 times more exciting than the reality ever could be. That's what happens to a man when you build anticipation. You make him feel the moment before the moment. You know that second when your lips are just inches away and you can both feel the heat, the pulse, the energy, but you don't move yet. That's anticipation. That's the psychological foreplay that drives a man absolutely insane, because in that second, his brain isn't thinking about control. It's consumed by curiosity. What's going to happen next? How much longer until she gives in? What will it feel like when she finally does? That's where you've got him. That's when he's yours. Men often describe the moments leading up to pleasure as more intoxicating than the pleasure itself. Why? Because the unknown is addictive. It keeps his imagination alive. It makes him want more. You don't have to rush to the main act. You don't have to give everything away at once. In fact, the slower you go, the more he spirals. The way you pause before touching him, the way you breathe just a little heavier near his ear but say nothing, the way your hand traces his jawline but stops just short of where he craves it most, that's how you make him lose control. You're not teasing to frustrate him, you're teasing to connect with his desire. You're showing him that you understand something most people miss, that real attraction is a story, not a shortcut. Because here's the thing: pleasure without tension is forgettable, but pleasure that's earned, that's unforgettable. Men love to earn your energy. They love to feel like they're awakening something in you, not that you're just offering it freely, but that they've drawn it out of you. That's the emotional payoff that makes him addicted to you. So the next time you're in that space together, remember this: anticipation is the difference between an experience that's physical and one that's magnetic. You don't need to rush to the destination. The power lies in the build-up. Let your silence speak. Let your movements linger. Let his imagination do the heavy lifting, because trust me, his imagination is your greatest ally. And when he finally gets what he's been waiting for, when you finally close that gap, touch that skin, whisper that word, the release is 10 times more powerful because you made him wait. That's when he loses every ounce of control. Not because of what you did, but because of how long he wanted it before he got it. The power of anticipation isn't manipulation, it's emotional awareness. It's knowing that chemistry lives in the space between desire and fulfillment. So slow down, don't rush the moment, because when you let him crave you, not just touch you, that's when the real fire starts. That's when he remembers you. That's when he becomes addicted to the wait. There's something magnetic about confidence. You can feel it the moment someone walks into a room, that quiet certainty, that energy that doesn't need to shout, but somehow commands every ounce of your attention. Now, when that kind of confidence meets intimacy, that's where electricity happens, because confidence changes the meaning of every movement, every glance, every touch. It's not what she does, it's how she does it that makes the difference. When a woman touches a man with hesitation, he feels it instantly. The uncertainty transfers. The energy becomes cautious, careful, restrained, like someone trying to play a song but afraid to hit the wrong note. But when she touches him with ownership, when she knows her worth, when her body language says, "I'm not here to please you, I'm here to enjoy you," everything transforms. That touch becomes charged. It's not just physical anymore. It's emotional, primal, magnetic. That's when the air in the room changes. That's when his breath catches without knowing why, because he's not responding to her hands. He's responding to her presence. You see, confidence isn't loud or aggressive. It's not about dominance. It's about certainty. It's about knowing that your desirability doesn't depend on his reaction. You already know you're enough, and that knowing makes him feel safe enough to lose control. When a man senses that kind of confidence, it gives him permission to stop performing, because suddenly the experience isn't about judgment or pressure, it's about connection. Your energy says, "I know what I bring, I know what I want." And that energy tells him without words that he can relax and feel. There's something incredibly seductive about a woman who isn't seeking approval in those moments. She's not asking, "Is this okay?" Or do you like this? She's simply being. She's immersed in the moment, enjoying her own pleasure, letting the connection unfold naturally. That's intoxicating to a man because for once, he's not trying to impress her. He's feeling her. He's witnessing her confidence in motion, and that's what draws him deeper. Confidence is what separates routine from rhythm and movement from meaning. You can take the same gesture, the same kiss, the same touch, and when it comes from a place of insecurity, it feels transactional. But when it comes from confidence, it feels like art. It's the difference between doing something to please someone and doing it because you want to. And that shift, that inner certainty, creates an invisible spark that runs through every part of your connection. And here's the truth most people overlook. Men crave that spark. They crave a woman who knows she's magnetic, not because of her body, but because of her energy. They crave the woman who walks into intimacy like she belongs there, like her presence alone changes the entire atmosphere. That kind of woman doesn't have to do much. A simple look, a deliberate pause, a slow touch, and suddenly he's undone. Because her confidence tells him, you don't need to chase me. I'm already here, but only because I choose to be. That's what makes it electric. It's not technique. It's not perfection. It's energy. When you move with confidence, you transmit certainty, safety, and sensuality all at once. You become the spark that ignites his imagination and shuts down his control. And that's the secret. The more you own your space, your voice, your body, the more irresistible you become. Because confidence doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you memorable. So the next time you're with someone, don't overthink your every move. Don't perform. Don't compare. Just be present. Own your energy. Let your confidence lead the way. Because when you believe in your own desirability, every touch you give becomes a story, and every moment you share becomes a spark. And that spark, that's the electricity he'll never forget. There's one part of a man that most women completely overlook, and yet it's the one that makes him unravel the fastest. It's not a part you touch with your hands, but with your presence. It's his eyes. Because the truth is, eye contact is the most powerful and underestimated erogenous zone there is. When you look at a man during intimacy, really look at him, something happens that no physical act can replicate. You bypass his body and go straight to his mind. And once you've reached his mind, everything else follows. You see, men are used to being looked at, but not truly seen. They spend their lives trying to be enough, successful enough, attractive enough, confident enough. But inside, they crave a moment where someone actually looks beyond the surface and connects with the person underneath. When you hold his gaze, you give him that moment. You say, without words, I see you. I'm here. I want you. And that connection breaks him down in a way that's both vulnerable and uncontrollable. He's no longer in charge. He's not thinking about what to do next or how he looks. He's lost in the experience because you've touched the part of him that rarely gets touched at his soul. That's why eye contact can feel so intense. It's raw. It's exposing. When your eyes meet and stay there, you're stripping away the performance. You're saying, I'm not hiding. Don't you hide either. In that space, the roles of man and woman fade away, and what's left is two people completely absorbed in each other. It's not about dominance or submission anymore. It's about connection, the kind of connection that makes his breath shake, that makes time feel slower, that makes even silence feel deafening. Here's what most people get wrong. They think passion is built through action, through faster movements, louder sounds, more intensity. But the most magnetic moments often come from stillness. It's when everything stops, when there's no distraction, no noise, just your eyes meeting his. That pause, that quiet tension is where the real magic happens. Because in that stillness, every heartbeat becomes louder, every breath becomes a signal, every look becomes a story. And here's the part that's fascinating. When you maintain eye contact during intimacy, his brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That's the same chemical that makes people fall in love, that creates attachment. So when you look at him deeply, it's not just emotional, it's biological. His body literally begins to associate you with safety, pleasure, and connection all at once. You're not just making him feel good, you're making him feel bonded. But here's the secret. It's not just about locking eyes the whole time. It's about the rhythm. The glance that lingers a second too long. The look that catches him when he least expects it. The smile that follows as if you're sharing a secret. Those tiny moments of unspoken communication build anticipation more powerful than any touch. They make him feel like you're both in your own private world, one where words don't matter and everything is understood. And when you hold his gaze in that that breathless moment, when he's already lost in you, when the world disappears, that's when he loses complete control. Because at that point, it's no longer about what's happening physically. It's about what's being shared emotionally. He feels seen, desired, connected. And that combination is unstoppable. So remember this, the eyes are not just windows to the soul. They're gateways to surrender. When you use them with intention, when you stop hiding behind fear or shyness and simply allow yourself to see and be seen, you create a moment that lives far beyond the bedroom. Because physical pleasure fades, but the memory of being looked at that way, with complete presence, with silent passion, stays with him. That's the hidden zone. The one that doesn't just make him lose control, it makes him fall. There's a moment every man remembers, that one instant where he stops thinking, stops performing, and simply feels wanted. It's not the touch itself that does it. It's the energy behind it. Because every man, no matter how confident he seems, carries a quiet question inside, do you actually want me? Not just physically, not just out of routine, but me, my energy, my presence, my essence. And when he feels that answer, when your desire says yes, without a single word, that's the moment he loses control. That most people assume men are purely visual or physical creatures, that their pleasure is driven by what happens to their body. But that's only part of the truth. A man's deepest satisfaction comes when he senses that his partner is genuinely turned on by him, not by what he's doing, but by who he is in that moment. When your touch carries hunger instead of habit, when your body leans in rather than tolerates, when your breathing sinks because you can't help it, that's when he feels something far beyond pleasure. That's when he feels chosen. And that's what every man secretly craves, to be chosen with intention. Because desire is validation at its most intimate level. It says, you are enough right now exactly as you are. When he feels that, he lets go. His mind shuts down. His control dissolves and he gives himself fully to the experience. That's why men remember the women who make them feel desired, not just touched, not just appreciated, wanted. Because that kind of desire speaks to his core. It awakens the part of him that wants to protect, to give, to connect. When a woman's touch is filled with authentic passion, it becomes transformative. You can't fake that kind of energy. He can feel the difference between being touched out of obligation and being touched out of genuine need. The difference is night and day. One is mechanical, the other is magnetic. The first makes him feel admired, the second makes him feel addicted. Because desire that feels real, that unfiltered, can't hide it attraction, doesn't just arouse a man, it anchors him. It makes him associate you with that rare feeling of being seen, wanted, and accepted all at once. And here's the truth most people overlook when you let yourself express that desire through your voice, your eyes, your rhythm. You're not giving away power, but amplifying it. Because nothing is more powerful than a woman who owns her want. When you stop trying to be perfect and start being present, he feels it. And in that energy, he stops trying to control his pleasure. He lets go. So when you want to know where the real magic happens, it's right there, not in what you do, but in what you feel as you do it. When a man feels that kind of authentic, unfiltered desire, he doesn't just lose control, he loses himself in you. So when we talk about the secret zone where a man loses control, it's not about chasing the perfect technique or learning some hidden move. It's about understanding the deeper truth. That real desire lives in connection, anticipation, confidence, presence, and emotional surrender. Because when you touch not just his body, but his mind and heart, you awaken something no physical act ever could. The real zone is when he feels seen, when your eyes tell him he's wanted, when your touch says, I choose you, when your confidence fills the room before your hands ever do. That's when he lets go of control, because he finally feels safe enough to. And that's the magic you hold. You don't need to perform, impress, or pretend. You just need to be present, be real, and own your energy. That's what makes a man crave you long after the moment is over. If this message spoke to you, share it with someone who deserves to hear it. And if you want more insights about connection, attraction, and love that lasts, hit subscribe, turn on the bell, and let's keep uncovering the truths that make love feel real.